I've said it before, I'm saying it now, and I will say it again in the future. MATHMECH is one of the best decks in Master Duel, hands down. Again, we haven't changed our list. This deck is just phenomenal. I just picked this up on a whim, felt like playing some MATHMECH, went on a fucking 7-0 tear through Master Rank. It was just too easy, and some of the games are just, some of the combos are so clean that I just had to talk about the deck, man. It's just so good. If you're in a position, you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, and you're stuck anywhere in ranked, right? You could be in bronze, you could be in platinum, you could be at Master 2. I don't care where you are in ranked, this deck will help you get to the next rank. This deck is fucking disgustingly strong. There's a lot of, there's just so much flexibility. Again, there's so many starters. The extension options are insane. The number of hand traps you can play is just everything about this deck. I honestly do, legitimately do, think that this is one of the best decks to play on the Master Duel rank ladder. I really do. And no, it's not just because I have so many of the cards at Royal Rare. But again, I'm just saying. But yes, the decks of the last, I'm going to show off some sort of combos here. I'm going to talk through my MATHMECH list at the end. It's been a few weeks since I've talked about MATHMECH. I know a lot of our longer term viewers maybe don't need a reintroduction to this deck, but some of our newer guys may not have seen our previous takes on MATHMECH. So you know what? I want to throw it out there because this deck is just a fucking blast. We are going to be restarting our streaming. I will not be available very briefly, sort of around the Christmas period and holiday period. I will be restarting streaming into the new year. I will be releasing more details on that on our Discord server, relevant at the time. So if you're going to be more involved in our live streams, by all means, that's where we normally play MATHMECH. But yes, again, I don't have much else to say. I will be doing a deck breakdown at the end of the video for those of us who haven't seen our deck breakdowns before. So we're going to watch some gameplay first. If you're new to the channel, subscribe so you can join in and get new content every single day from the channel. Why not? If you're coming back and you're watching more videos, why not just subscribe to catch it? You can like this video to help me get it out to more people who might want to play MATHMECH. Let's just get into the gameplay. Alrighty, getting in here. Now, again, I'm not playing these replays in any particular order. Looks like we're going up against a punk list. Quite a lot of punk going on around the master rank. We are going to imperm that Ziyama, of course, because it's the easiest imperm target. I believe this one's quite simple. I don't believe he did very much more past this. Yeah, he activates the True Sun God, grabbing Sphere Mode. That's pretty interesting. It's a really good tech card for going second. No, he's not actually playing Egyptian Gods. He's doing it for Sphere Mode. We top deck into Circular, which is, like, again, the best deck, best card in the deck. Circular, we may be seeing this card limited in some way, shape, or form in the nearest future. Again, it was just banned on the TCG list, but either way, we're going to be going in the Allen version here today. Allen version going to be hit with Ash Blossom. We're actually so confident that we're not even going to hit that with Call by the Grave. We don't need to. So we're going to save the call by for something more important. We're going to go for the subtraction here. Normal summoning out Nabla. Nabla attribute subtraction to summon Diameter. Then we're going to link 2 into the Splash Mage. That grabs us the Diameter anyway. We didn't even need to stop the Ash. Bring him back to Nabla just to link it off into Link Decoder. Now, it is very important to note where I summon my monsters. If you're doing this, if you're watching this video to get an idea as to what the combos are, I will be going over it sort of step by step as we go along. But take note of placement. Placement is very important with MATHMECH. You want to have Allen version under the extra monster zone that you do not intend to use for your primary combo. That is this one. So make sure it's here. There's a reason for it, and we'll get to that in a minute. But the rest of this, again, is fairly intuitive, but do pay attention to locations on the board. Bringing back the Splash Mage, link 6 into Singularity. This is where Allen version's effect comes in, because now it's going to tribute itself, summoning out Subtraction, and because the Singularity was pointing to it, now we get to use Singularity's effect to bring back the Transcode Talker. Now we're going to use these two going into Access Code Talker. Access Code Talker, of course, boosting at the 5300, using its effect, popping the True Sun God, which was preventing us from attacking, and then our opponent simply forfeits the game. The True Sun God prevents us from attacking with monsters that were special summoned that turn, and it grabs in Sphere Mode. I actually think that's some pretty interesting tech in terms of just sort of going second or even going first. It still has some value because it helps prevent your opponent from OTKing you. That's pretty cool. I kind of like what they were doing with that whole, like, Sphere Mode package. But yes, that is the guts of the combo. Basically, we went Access Code instead of Terahertz just so we could pop shit. I really wanted rid of that True Sun God because it was stopping our attacks. but you get the gist of it, right? You just summon for days, combo for days, search for days. It's just so consistent. I'm just in love with this deck. Let's keep going. Alright, getting into game 2 here. We're going first this time, and we have Firewall Defensor, as well as free hand traps. So this is a really good hand. This hand is fucking amazing. We are going to be banishing and negating that Max C. Get that shit the fuck out of here. This game I remember actually having a pretty funny conclusion because our opponent thought he was outplaying us when realistically we had him on our pocket the whole game. We're going to go Defense or summoning out the Guardian now. We're going to use these two to go into Splash Mage. Splash Mage then, well, Guardian first, sorry, comes back. We're going to use Addition now to summon itself out to the field. We're going to go into Alimbertion. We're going to use Alimbertion to grab ourselves our Circular, right? Again, watch our zones. Zones are important. Splash Mage, bring back anything to link off into the Link Decoder, make sure it's level 4 or lower. Now we're going to use these two to go into Transcode Talker. That triggers the Link Decoder to summon itself back to the field. Transcode Talker then bringing back the Splash Mage to the field. Then we're going to get hit with Nibiru. He hit us with the Rock. No worries though, we've got Circular. We're going to go Circular, sending Sigma, summoning itself. We're going to go Sigma onto the field, triggering off, of course, the Circular Searcher deck for Super Factorial. Now we're going to link off the Nib token into the Link Spider, using those two now to go into G, Golden Crystal Heart. Crystal Heart then going to bring back Transcode from Grave, Link 5 into the Firewall Dragon Dark Fluid Neo Tempest Terahertz. We're going to set a card face down, sending the Save Worm to Grave, and just like that, through a Maxi and a Nibiru, we have a Firewall Dragon Dark Fluid with a Deceive Worm Engrave and a full power Factorial and 2 hand traps. We're so fucking set. We're so good at the game. They're gonna go for Pearly Lee here. Pearly Lee gonna grab my friend Pearly. Now our opponent here thinks they're being big brain, right? They think they're the smartest player on the planet. So they're going for Pearly Happy Memory to beat a spell negate. Now I know, and they know that I know that Deceive Worm is not necessarily going to be able to do anything about my friend Pearly, right? It's not going to be able to do much about it. So he's trying to get this because he has Caught by the Grave. And I know that he has Caught by the Grave. I figured it out based purely upon him playing the spell card. So he plays this. I decide, yeah, let's go for Deceive Worm. Let's play into his plan because he doesn't know what's in my hand. So we're going to banish the Deceive Worm to negate the Happy Memory. He goes for my friend Pearly. I flip up Super Factorial as he was planning for me to do. Then he springs his plan with a Call by the Grave to banish the Diameter. And then I just reveal Ghost Spell. And then his whole plan goes out the window. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, he just instantly leaves. So he tried to bait the Deceive Worm so that he could use my friend Pearly to bait our Super Factorial so he could then use his Call by the Grave to stop our Diameter from coming out. But we knew what he was doing. Again, it didn't take a genius to work that one out. It was a pretty obvious play. So we adapted, we countered, and we fucking conquered, right? It is what it is. Good game nonetheless, good showing. Again, playing through Interruptions, playing through Nibiru as well, beating Pearly, one of the, again, top decks in the game, averaging, what was it, like 54.7% win rate in the Master rank. So one of the best decks in the game, I think taking second place only to Vanquish Soul. But either way, let's keep on going. Alrighty, getting in, not the greatest hand in the world, but also not terrible. Parallel Exceed does sort of help us salvage this a little bit. We are going to go into the Lingering, but then Fireball Guardian bringing itself back from the graveyard. Parallel Exceed then, of course, in hand. Now, it's very important whenever you're doing this, and these plays become even more relevant if and or when Circular eventually finds itself at 1, which will happen, if not in this next ban list, then one in the near future. You can quote me on that. But you really want to be summoning out level 4 so you can go into Alimbertion. You really, really, really want, and you could even say need, Circular. So Alimbertion as soon as you possibly can. If you don't have Circular or you don't have the means to get into Circular through any means other than Alimbertion, just fucking do it. Just do it as soon as you can. We go for the Circular now. We're going to use the Splash Mage, bringing back Diameter to satisfy MATHMECH Circular's effect to grab Super Factorial. We're going to link it off now into the Link Decoder. And from here, it is literally bread and butter, rinse and repeat. Fucking crush and dominate using this combo. They will not be able to stop you. So we're going to bring back the Splash Mage, of course, link 6 into the Singularity, one of the coolest fucking cards in the game. Allen version then tributing itself with a Nabla. We're going to bring back the Transcode Talker, link 5 into the Tempest Terahertz. We're going to use Terahertz, sending the save worm, set 2, and pass. Factorial called by Spell negate, face up negate. We got the bounces off the Singularity. We got the Ghost Spell in hand. Everything here is just spectacular. We have so much interruption. They decide they're going to try and Drissworm our Deceive Worm, and I sort of think about it for a second. I really paused here, and I wasn't sure as to whether or not I just let that happen. So I decided, you know what? I'm not going to let it happen because it's going to prevent Drissworm summon. Drissworm on field is pretty fucking annoying. So if I can prevent this summon, then you know what? 2 for 1. I protect my negate, whatever. I was reluctant because I kind of wanted to save it for protecting my Super Factorial, but it is what it is. They end up trying to go for Call by the Grave on my Ghost Spell, which defeats the purpose because I could just banish the Deceive Worm to negate the Call by, which was your original target. Your whole point was stopping me from using Deceive Worm. Now I've used it. And you can't summon Drissworm. What was even the point? Our opponent's going to go for Branded Fusion. We are going to go for the Neo Tempest Terahertz. They're going to hit us with the Ash Blossom, though. I think that's as good an opportunity as any to flip up Call by the Grave. Now, why are we activating Neo Tempest Terahertz right now this second? Well, we're going to be sending from our extra deck to the graveyard an Exceed monster called the Mirrologic Aggregator. What does the Aggregator do? Well, when it's sent to the grave, it negates the effect of a monster in the field. They intelligently go for Albion, so I don't actually activate the Aggregator's effect because Aggregator targets. Albion cannot be targeted. So very smart play from our opponent there. They made up for their previous blunder. They are going to normal summon the Guiding Quem. It is at this stage that I decide, fuck this man, I'm going to go for my Factorial. We're going to target our free MATHMECH Engrave, and we're going to chain to that our Singularity, so we're removing Quem from the board before we take any cards out of our extra deck to avoid any messy circumstances that happen as a result. We're going to Exceed using all 3 into our Royal Rare Pre-MATHMECH Laplacian. He is going to mill a card, but I don't care. We're going to detach 3, sniping a card out of hand, removing his Albion, removing his face down, and he's going to leave the game. Crushing Branded, the top deck, top dog, the king of Master Duel, dethroned that easily. Absolutely dismantled. Let's keep going. Alright, our 4th and final game here. Having Defensor and Guardian in hand is a really rough combo. Defensor is one of the best normal summons in your whole deck. It is one of the best cards, except if Guardian isn't in your deck. The moment this card is no longer in your deck, Defensor becomes useless. This is a paperweight, right? It's nothing. So we are going to go for the Guardian normal summon, special summoning out the Subtraction just to give us the additional extender so we can go into our Splash Mage. We're not going to let one lousy card slow us down. Guardian, summoning itself back from the graveyard. We're going to bring back the Subtraction. Again, Allen version, prioritize the Circular. The Circular is that good. You need to prioritize it. I'm going to grab the Circular from deck. Circular, sending Diameter. We already have enough MATHMECH Engrave. If you didn't have a third MATHMECH Engrave, what you would do here is you would send Nabla, and then your Allen version will bring back Nabla. Nabla then will grab you Diameter and do it that way. That way you've guaranteed to have 3 MATHMECHs. We didn't need to do that because we already had Subtraction. So, again, just for the clarification there. But if you didn't have Subtraction, you would grab Nabla and it would do the same job, except it would just make sure you had 3. Into, of course, Super Factorial, Link Decoder, Transcode Talker. Link Decoder comes back from the graveyard. Transcode Talker brings back the Splash Mage. Again, like clockwork, except this time we do our combo slightly differently. I wanted to show off this game, actually. There's a specific reason I wanted to show this one off, because this, in this game, we were playing Firewall Dragon and not Decode Talker Heat Soul. I wanted to show this off because this could have been a very different game. We could have had Heat Soul on board, which would have given us an additional 2 cards in hand, which would have been huge. However, not a biggie, right? We still have pretty nuts board. We have Super Factorial called by Max C, as well as the Terahertz with the Deceive Worm Engrave. They are going to go for the Ecclesia. Now, again, very specific timing. I've talked about this with Sword Soul before. Activating Ecclesia is perfect bait for Maxi. So if you're playing against Sword Soul, right, you want to activate Maxi while they still have Ecclesia on the field. That way it cannot be hit by Gamma. A lot of Sword Soul players are playing Gamma, and that is how you play around the Gamma. Will you lose a draw? Yes, but that's fine. It is better than losing all of your draws and giving them a free level 8 synchro. It's best not to run that risk. They might not have Gamma, but it's not worth risking it. Definitely activate Maxi while Ecclesia is still on the field. Just saying. We are going to negate it anyway. We're going to hit it with Call by the Grave. I don't need him doing any shenanigans. I don't know if he's playing... He could be playing Branded for all I know. I don't know whether he's playing Sword Soul yet. I can make the assumption, which would have been correct. But I didn't know he was playing it yet, so I couldn't make that assumption. Gonna go in the Monk of the Tenyi. We're gonna flip up Super Factorial before he can use Vishuda's effect. Vishuda would be a pain in the ass. He's gonna go for Heavenly Dragon Circle, which is very interesting. Again, makes sense in terms of what he needs to do here. Gonna grab the Moyi, Royal Moyi, by the way, from deck to hand. We're gonna go Factorial, then bringing back all 3 of our MATHMECHs from the grave, going into Laplacian. Laplacian only hitting 1 card this time because he doesn't have any cards on the field. We're gonna snipe that Taya from the hand. He's going to normal summon the Moyi, revealing the Strategist, interestingly enough. We're going to use the Laplacian to negate that Moyi. It has an omni-negate because we use Diameter as material, and just like that, they're gone. They're out of here. They're finished. Finito. Done. It's just, it's crazy that the deck can play as much as it can. This would have been way better if we were playing Heat Soul, which is why I have since included Heat Soul, and I wanted to show off an example as to why it would have been useful, because we would have been able to use our Terahertz there to send Dot Skipper to grave, and then Dot Skipper would have came back, used it and the Splash Mage to go into the Heat Soul, draw a card of Heat Soul, then during their draw phase we would have went to Save Worm, so, and then as we would have drew an additional card as well. So definitely worth playing the Heat Soul because of this particular duel is what sort of changed my mind. Plus it helps you play it under Nibiru a little bit better. But I'm rambling. Let's just get in and we'll actually talk about the deck card for card. And here it is. This is my MATHMECH list. This is the way I have been playing it for weeks. This is what I've been using to crush the Diamond rank, to crush Master rank, and absolutely just humiliate people, right? Like I said, we just picked it up on a whim, felt like playing a little bit of MATHMECH, and we just went on a 7-game tour in Master Duel, in the Master rank, sorry. So this deck is just as good as it's always been. It will likely be seeing some sort of limitation soon. We did see our Signet Mining hit, and we did see Diameter hit. These were very, very low impact hits. They didn't really do much to hurt the deck. You kind of miss the mining a little bit, but you really don't give a shit. What I can see in the near future is them potentially hitting Circular down to a singular copy. And the reason I'm saying that is because that happened in the trading card game, the TCG. They hit Circular to 1, and Circular was at 1 for a while, and has very recently been banned from play in the TCG. So Circular is definitely in the crosshairs for Konami. They know that this is the problem card. They know that there isn't really another card in here they can hit that would have the level of impact that hitting Circular will have. I don't think they're going to ban it. I highly, highly doubt they're going to ban it. They may even hit it to 2 to begin with. That's what I think they may do, is they might hit Circular to 2, and they might maybe hit another card in the deck, or maybe they might ban Nabla. Maybe they'll ban Diameter, right? That's fine. All of those changes are a-okay. They might hurt the deck a little bit, you might miss certain things, but it will still function. Hitting Circular to 1, the deck doesn't really care too much. You will bump your Small World up to 3, and you'll just play an additional extender, and you will just search for it from your deck, using your mining, using your Small World, using your Alimbertion. So even if they do hit Circular to 1, it's not the end of the world. You can still play the game. The deck will hardly notice. You might lose a little bit of consistency, but your deck's already so consistent that it doesn't even fucking matter. So this is the list I've been playing. I'm an absolute just in love with this deck. Let's go through the list and we'll talk about it. First and foremost, there's a shitload of hand traps. I'm going to remove the hand traps so that we understand how many flex spots we've got, because that's one of the big advantages to the deck, is the fact you have so much flex. Starting off with double Veiler, the single Droll and Lockbird. We got the triple Maxi, triple Ash Blossom, double Ghost Spell. Ghost Spell, goated card in this deck, by the way. This card's fucking insane. We've got the Nibiru, of course. Then we've got the Call by the Grave, the Crossout Designator, and the double Infinite Impermanence. I guess technically Small World is like a flex spot. I really do think you need to be playing Small World though, for sure. So Small World, I'm going to call 2 copies of Small World Core. And this is the core of the deck, right? This is what you need to play. 23 cards. That means you get 17 spots. 17! spots to do whatever you want with. You can go nuts. You play whatever the hell you want. You can play a bunch of going second cards. You can play floodgates. You can play, like, there's a lot of floodgates that work really well with this deck. For example, a really obvious one is Rivalry. Rivalry of Warlords works really well. Anti-Spell Fragrance works really well in this. You don't play a shitload of spells, that sort of thing. You go down the Floodgate route. You could go down, of course, the Hand Trap route that we were doing. You could do the Board Breaker route if you want to throw a bunch of Thrust and some Talent and some Lightning Storm and all in. By all means, be my guest. 17 spots. Go fucking nuts. Let's talk about the deck. So the deck has two main starter cards. It has Firewall Defensor and MATHMECH Circular. So MATHMECH Circular is, of course, the man of the hour. This is the name that everyone cannot seem to get out of their mouths. MATHMECH Circular. So what does it actually do? It sends a MATHMECH monster from deck to graveyard to special summon itself from your hand. Pretty straightforward. While on the field, if another MATHMECH is summoned to your field, you get to search your deck for a MATHMECH spell or trap. Again, its effects are very straightforward, but they're very fucking powerful. Not only is it a free summon with zero cost, it also searches your deck for a spell or trap, and it sends a card from deck to graveyard. It is literally, we have a whole card so good, it's limited to 1. Foolish Burial. This card is so good that we limited it to 1. And now we've got a card that does Foolish Burial, and it searches a card, and it's a free summon and body on board. Like, it's fucking nuts. It's insane. Circular is insane. I love MATHMECH, but this card needs to be, like, put to 1 or something. It's so good. It really is. Like, the deck, we will survive with 1 copy of this card. It's good enough that we will survive with 1 copy of it. This card's nuts. And the reason it's so nuts is because it works so well alongside all of your other MATHMECH cards. We have MATHMECH Sigma, which is going to be your primary target to be sent to graveyard off of Circular's effect. And the reason is because as long as you have no monsters in the extra monster zone, you can special summon this guy from graveyard or hand to the field. It's a free summon, proccing your Circular's effect, setting you up for some crazy Link and Exceed combos. We have the Nabla. Nabla will allow you to tribute another Cyberse monster to special summon a MATHMECH monster from your deck. This card comes up under very specific circumstances, where if you don't have access to 3 MATHMECHs in grave, what you will normally do is you will summon Nabla from the effect of your Alambertian, and then Nabla's effect will tribute either itself or another MATHMECH to get access to Diameter, and then when Diameter goes to grave, that normally means you've now got 3 MATHMECHs. You have Circular, Nabla, and Diameter. So it doesn't come up all the time. It's definitely not like a card that's part of your core combos, but it's pretty important to have this card in your back pocket just in case you've got that one game where you don't have access to the 3 MATHMECHs. So Nabla is pretty good. It can also, if it goes to the graveyard, you can target a Cyberse monster in your extra monster zone. It can attack up to 2 monsters that turn, which is neat sometimes. But in general, it's primarily here to make sure you've always got 3 MATHMECHs in grave for your Super Factorial. MATHMECH Addition, Subtraction, and Gichiri Ad Ignister, I'm going to lump into one category here. These are all just one-off extenders. Basically, Addition, Subtraction, and Ad Ignister will all target a monster on your field, or the field, sorry, will negate its effects, and then will special summon themselves. We'll do one of several things. So Addition adds attack points, Subtraction subtracts attack points, and Gichiri negates its effect. But either way, what they do is they target the monster, then they summon themselves to the field. So they're all just free summons. Gichiri has an additional benefit though. So Gichiri, when sent to the graveyard, will target a face-up monster you control, and that card becomes unaffected by your opponent's card effects until the end of your opponent's next turn. So that's a really good way of giving certain monsters on your end board an extra layer of protection. So Gichiri is very, very strong. You're basically just playing it because you want as many different named extenders in your deck as possible. I know a lot of people play like 2 Addition and 2 Subtraction, but I feel like opening up 2 copies of these cards can feel really weak sometimes. So having as many different names as possible is pretty important. So rather than, if you felt like you wanted more extenders, I would never increase the ratios of the ones you're playing. I would instead look into the plethora of other Cyberse extenders. There are dozens of these fuckers. You can play any of them. These are just the ones that we picked. Of course, MATHMECH Addition Subtraction for obvious reasons, and then Gichiri Ad Ignister for its second effect and the fact that it's an extender. So that's the, and then Diameter, sorry, is the last MATHMECH card. Diameter on normal summon will bring back a level 4 Cyberse monster from Grave, which is a really good effect. But if it's used as material for the Synchro or Exceed summon of a MATHMECH, that monster, the one that you summoned, gains an additional effect until the end of that turn, allowing it to negate the activation or effect of an opponent's card. So it basically gives whatever you use it as material for an Omni-Negate for the turn in which it's summoned. That's pretty fucking cool, I'm not gonna lie. Diameter's pretty sick. I can see them banning this card. I can see them banning Diameter. Just because it's a rare, I don't think they're going to want to hit like the URs because it's pretty disrespectful. They might hit Circular to 2. They might ban Diameter. Which you would miss. You would miss your Diameter. However, the deck wouldn't die. We would be fine. We would just have one less interruption. It's like, it's fine. I know a lot of people probably don't agree with that. I don't care. Think what you want, but we would be fine. And so that's it for the MATHMECH cards. Let's talk about the Firewall cards. Firewall Defensor. Firewall Defensor, when used as link material, will special summon another Firewall monster from the deck. It can also protect one of your Firewall monsters on field from destruction by banishing itself in graveyard. Defensor, right? And it's in the name. So basically, he tags out into another Firewall when used as link material. So what are you going to summon? You're going to summon Firewall Guardian. Why are you going to summon Firewall Guardian? Because when this guy is used as material for a link summon of a Cyberse monster, he summons himself back, but he gets banished the next time he would leave the field. Also, when an attack is declared involving your link monster and an opponent's link monster, you can banish this card from the grave, negate the attack, and until the end of this turn, the original attack of your opponent's monster becomes 0. This never, ever comes up. I've never used this effect. The reason I had to read it from the text is because I've never had to use it. He's here because when you link summon using him, he comes back. He's a free extender. That's it. So it means basically a normal summon of your Firewall Defensor gets you 3 summons because you got Defensor. You link it away. Out comes Guardian. There's your 1. Link that away. Out comes your Guardian again. There's 2. So basically, you got your Defensor and you got 2 instances of Guardian. That's 3 monsters for 1 normal summon. So Defensor is definitely your best normal summon in the deck. A lot of extension and a lot of combos only made possible because of Defensor. And again, the protection is also really fucking good. You can protect your Firewall Dark Fluid or your Singularity from effect destruction just by banishing this guy from the graveyard. So Firewall Defensor is amazing. And then we have our oddball Cyberse as well. We have Dotscaper, which when sent to the grave will special summon itself back from the graveyard, or if it's banished, it will special summon itself back from the banish pile. It can only do 1 of those effects per turn, and each effect once per duel. So do bear that in mind, although very seldom do your games go on often enough for that to be relevant. Parallel Exceed. We all know what this card does. Basically, so long as there's 1 copy of it is in your hand, if you were to link summon, you can special summon the copy in your hand to a zone that that link monster points to, and then upon successfully being summoned, it will summon another one from the deck. And whenever this guy is special summoned by the effect of Parallel Exceed, i.e. its own effect, its level becomes 4. So it just becomes a level 4 Cyberse, which means that it's perfect for going into Alimbertion or any of your link monsters. So absolutely mandatory for you. Parallel Exceed will single-handedly unbrick your hands and will put up crazy boards. Alright, and so that does it for the monsters. We of course have Silent Mining, which searches your deck for any Cyberse monster, basically level 4 or lower. We have Small World, which searches your deck for any monster, so long as you know how to use Small World. You have the MATHMECH Equation, Searchable Monster Reborn, and the MATHMECH Superfactorial, which is a very important part of your end board. Basically, you get to target up to 3 MATHMECHs engraved. You will target 3. You get to summon them all to the field, and then you will immediately exceed summon using them into Laplation. And we'll talk about why that's so good now that we're getting into the extra deck. So talking first about the Save Worm, this guy can banish itself from the graveyard while you have a link 4 or higher on your field to negate the activation of a spell or trap card. You're going to be sending this card to grave off of your Terahertz like we saw in the gameplay, so easy spell trap negate here. Laplation on summon will detach up to 3 materials to apply as many of the relevant effects as possible. You can send a random card from your opponent's hand to the graveyard, send a monster from your opponent controls to the graveyard, and send a spell or trap your opponent controls to the graveyard. So if you hit him at the right time, you could potentially snipe 3 of your opponent's cards just for summoning this guy. And what makes it even better is that if you use Diameter for his summon, he also has an Omni Negate until the end of the turn on which he is summoned. And because that'll be your opponent's turn, that's very fucking relevant. So Laplacian is nuts. Alimbertion, part of your primary combo. On summon, will detach as many materials as it can, essentially, to apply the relevant effect. We're going to be detaching 2 to search our deck for a MATHMECH monster. Or MATHMECH card, I should say. It can also tribute a monster in your field to special summon a level 4 MATHMECH from hand or grave. Very simple card, very powerful card. Mirror Logic Aggregator, another target for our terahertz. When this card is sent to the graveyard, you will target a card in the field, and negate its effects until the end of the turn. So the Aggregator basically acts as a negate for your Dark Fluid. It doesn't come up very often, and sometimes I wish I was sometimes I want to cut this card in favor of something else, but again, you think that oh, it's useless, oh, it's bad, oh, it's this, that, and then you're about to cut it, and then one game comes up and it saves you that game, and you're like, oh fuck, that's why it's there. So I would say play it. You're gonna feel like it's a waste of space, you're gonna feel like it's a waste of time, and if you want to take it out, but I guarantee you're gonna come across that one game that it would have won you if you just had it in your deck. I'm just saying. In the links, we've got Link Spider for Nibiru tokens. Salgrimgate Almirage, unbricks your hand. You can normal summon any of your hand traps to turn it into a Cyberse monster, making it a valid target for Gichiri, for subtraction, addition, parallel exceed. So it means that you can use a single hand trap to completely unbrick a hand, which is part of the dramatic consistency of this deck. Again, I don't know why people don't play Almirage in this deck. So many lists don't have this card. You have to play Almirage. There are so many bad hands that this card instantly fixes, just like that. Lingeribo, again, he can technically send himself to the graveyard to negate a trap card, which is really useful and does come up. However, its primary benefit is that it's a Link 1 that's very easily summoned, so that you can summon Alexa Parallel Exceed, trigger off a Firewall Defensor, do all of these Link-based shenanigans without going into your higher value cards. So Lingeribo is just the Link 1 of choice. Any Link 1 that has similar requirements will do the job. Link Decoder, a primary part of your strategy. You do need to play at least one copy of this card. It basically just acts as a free extender mid-combo. And this is the card that means your Singularity by itself is a free terahertz. It does sort of fill in that little +1 that was needed before this card came out. It's a free extender. There's no reason not to play it. Again, you saw it in the gameplay. It's pretty straightforward. And the rest of this is fairly simple. Splash Mage brings back a Cyberse. G-Golem Grizzleheart brings back an Earth Link Cyberse, specifically. Transcode Talker brings back a Cyberse Link monster. Decode Talker Heatsoul is like an alternative boss monster. So you're going to summon this card under a few different conditions. Number one, if you find yourself unable to go into both Singularity and Terahertz, what you'll normally do is you'll settle for Terahertz and Heatsoul. Heatsoul will allow you to, once per turn as a quick effect, pay 1,000 life points to draw a card. Because we're playing 17 flex spots, we have 17 hand traps. Or sorry, well, probably closer to 13 hand traps or 12 hand traps or whatever that we can draw into that will be useful. So we're using Heatsoul +2, trying to draw in the additional hand traps on a board where we don't have full access to, of course, Singularity and Terahertz. So he does make a decent backup boss monster in those types of situations, which is very, very good. That +2 is always fucking massive. And it also, if you're mid-flow, mid-combo, and suddenly your opponent flashes red, and you think to yourself, your fucking life flashes before your eyes, and you know, that's fucking Nibiru. Why would you continue to do your main combo knowing that it's all just going to get fucking deleted? Don't. Go in the Heatsoul, draw your cards, pass turn. If you're right, perfect. You're not losing that much. You still have your G-Golem, you can still do your full combo, maybe even on that same turn. Or, if not, next turn. That's fine. You haven't committed the big guns. And you've drawn an extra card. You've gotten some advantage out of the play. Or, sorry, to be more specific, you've recouped some of the losses because you've drawn an extra card. So it helps you play under Nibiru a little bit. And sometimes, they just don't Nibiru it because they don't see it as valuable enough. So it can be used to bait out Nibirus, to recover some value from getting hit with a Nibiru, or to entirely dissuade the usage of the card entirely. So Heat Soul does serve a unique facet in that regard as well. That's part of the reason I added this over Protect Code Talker. It was between Heat Soul and Protect Code, and I feel like Protect Code is really good, don't get me wrong. I just feel like the particular interactions with Nibiru gives Heat Soul a bit of an edge, in my opinion. But, you know, that is entirely interpretation. Take that as you will. Access Code Talker in case you need to beat the shit out of someone. Terahertz because it's one of your boss monsters. Basically, this guy will send from your deck or extra deck to the graveyard a Cyberse monster. It gains that monster's attribute and gains 2,500 attack points. And during the battle phase, all of your opponent's monster effects are negated. Now, why is the gaining of attributes important? So, there's a couple of key interactions to remember with this. I'll list there's two that actually come up, right? There's a bunch of like implications and stuff. There's two things that actually matter. Number one, if your opponent plays Goes In Match, you cannot control this card. It will simply disappear. It doesn't matter if all of your monsters are dark or all of your other shit's dark, this card will go to the graveyard. Because if it's used its effect, it'll have more than one attribute, meaning it cannot exist under Goes In Match. Secondary to that, it means that if you were to send a Earth monster from your deck or extra deck to the graveyard, it means that if this card is co-linked with G-Golem Crystal Heart, G-Golem Crystal Heart, if co-linked with an Earth monster, gives it 600 extra attack points for every GG counter on the card. That card can make a second attack each battle phase, and if it attacks a defense position monster, it inflicts piercing. So if you send an Earth monster, Crystal Heart gives your Terahertz more attacks, more attack points, and piercing damage. That is big. That is game ending. So Crystal Heart, that's the particular interaction that that's really the only interaction you care about, if I'm being perfectly honest. That and Goes In Match are the only two that come up. There's a bunch of other like smaller ones like Rafislav and whatever, but the main two are Goes In Match and Crystal Heart. And lastly, we have the big dog himself, Singularity, the Link 6. Boss monster. A quick effect, you get the target cards your opponent controls up to the number of different card types, Ritual Fusion, Synchro, or Exceed in your graveyard or on your field. Return them back to the hand and gain 500 attack for each permanently. So usually you're going to be bouncing one card, right? Potentially two, because sometimes you'll have an Exceed and a Fusion. Most of the time you're going to banish that Fusion though. So a lot of the times you'll only be bouncing one card for the Exceed slot. You can try modifying your deck to fit more of those fucking shenanigans in if you want. It doesn't work, but you can try if you really want to. Your extra deck slots are simply too valuable though. For like, if you're thinking to yourself, oh, I'll just send like a Synchro monster off the Terahertz, right? Your extra deck slots are too valuable for shit to just throw away for an extra. It's just not worth it. It's just not. And it also has an effect where if a monster it's pointing to is sent to the graveyard, you get to bring back a Cyberse monster for your graveyard as well. Bear in mind, 3 of its arrows points to your opponent's monster zones, meaning that those 3 zones are also subject to that effect. So if you get rid of one of your opponent's monsters, you still get to bring back one of yours, which is pretty fucking awesome. But yeah, that's the entire deck. That is MATHMECH. This is the recipe I've been using for months, and it has been absolutely decimating people on the ranked ladder. Let me bring the full list back up so you can get a good look at it again with all the hand traps involved. This is the full list. If you have any suggestions, recommendations, changes, anything like that, of course, feel free to throw them into the Discord. I know there is a shitload of different ways to play this. I know you can go down like a Mega Coder route to get like conflict and all of that fun stuff for extra negates. I know there are versions of the deck to play to a much higher ceiling, but play maybe less consistency or play a couple of bricks or blah, 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 right? However you choose to play the deck is entirely up to you. There's a bunch of different ways you can do it. This is how I like it. Minimizing number of bricks, maximizing follow-up, maximizing extenders for playthrough, and maximizing hand trap count to make sure I'm consistently winning with my combos and my hand traps are stopping my opponent from doing anything so crazy that my primary combo won't be able to beat them. That's my thought process, that's my logic, and it seems to be fucking working because we are ripping Master apart with this list. And if you want to do it too, all you need to do is pick it up, practice, and do it. This is not a deck you're just going to get like that if you don't have any experience with Cyberse-based strategies. It will take a little bit of practice, but again, watch the videos, watch the streams, watch the gameplay, subscribe to the channel to catch more gameplay as it comes out because I will be covering this deck in the future, especially if it gets hit by the ban list. But yes, subscribe to keep track of it. Or if you're just interested in anything else, of course, that we do new content every single day, you can subscribe to catch that as well. Like the video to give me a wee hand in trying to get this video out to as many different people as possible. Like I said, we're trying to give ourselves the biggest head start we can going into 2024 to see what our possible end of year goal is. So I would appreciate any little bit of support you can provide. But either way, that's enough for me. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.